with the usi for half an avarthanam. So you have Rupamojuchi. Till there it's usi. So you have takka is left. You are going dalang kutaka dikku takka tadingina tom takka dimmi 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 takka dimmi. So if you see, the first half has only 7 because you're leaving 1 off. So let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, go. Takka dimmi takka dimmi takka dimmi takka dimmi. So you're ending with the right. Go again on the right with samam. Takka dimmi takka dimmi takka dimmi takka dimmi. That's your first part. Second one is, you have double of the speed. Takka dimmi takka junnu takka dimmi takka junnu takka dimmi takka junnu takka dimmi takka junnu takka dimmi. The fourth one, you will change legs. So how do you do that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first part is usi, then you come to the samam. This is all in second speed. Then you move into the third speed. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is on the right. Then you continue on the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? This is the tattu part. Now let's come to the jati. So as I said, the first part of the first jati is all silent. And it's all heel and toe. Heel and toe, heel and toe, heel and toe. So you have tam, tat, ta, kit, ta, na, ka. Now you strike. Ta, ri, kit, ta, ka, ka, ta, ta, kit, ta, na, ka, jum, ta, ri, kit, ta, ta, ka. But the second speed is slightly harder because you need to stay silent. So when you do the second speed, tam, tatta, kitta, nakka has to be really quick. The quick is not in the lift of the leg, but in how quickly your hand travels. Kitta, kitta, nakka. Your hand needs to come here. Kitta, nakka. So you see, that is the sweep. When your hand moves really fast, takes your leg and goes there. When you finish, you need to put your stomach in and body front so you can hold you're not going to fall behind. Right? The same thing goes in the first and second speed. After that, you have tam, tatta, kitta, nakka, jam, tari, kitta, taka. Tatta, kitta, nakka, jam, tari, kitta, taka. Tatta, kitta, nakka, taka, jam, tari, kitta, taka. Tatta, kitta, nakka, jam, tari, kitta, taka. It's a simple chaturashram, but the beauty of the chaturashram is that it should sound absolutely equal. Tam, tatta, kitta, nakka, jam, tari, kitta, taka. Tatta, kitta, nakka, jam, tari, kitta, taka. Tatta, kitta, nakka, taka, jam, tari, kitta, taka. Tatta, kitta, nakka, jam, tari, kitta, taka. 1, 2, 3, go. Tam, tatta, kitta, nakka, jam. Takkun, tari, kitta, taka. Tatta, kitta, nakka, taka, jam. Takkun, tari, kitta, taka. So when you do this tangida tatta dinna, the most important is the dinna. Stay. Tangida tatta dinna. Then takka dimmi. Slide, lift, dimmi. Right? That me will make all the difference. Jam and takka dimmi. So if you see, the importance of that finishing is what adds to it's not even the opening, it's the closing which really matters in this place. It won't be very visible, but you'll go taka jam, taka nam, taka rum, taka dit. taka jum, taka num, taka rum, taka dit. The reason to go there is because you'll have stay after that. After this, most people come to a Katakamukham and then open into an Alapadma. When you do that, it looks very busy because you already have an other hasta here. To go into one more hasta and one more hasta will be too much. So when you're finished here, takadit, from here, just open to an Alapadam. Tam, tatakita, takita, dikita. Tat, dit, ta, kita, tom. So when you look at this, tam, tatakita is an Natyarambam. Takita, dikita is a full stretch. When you go, it's a Natyarambam, smaller circle. When you open and come back, it's a full stretch. So if you differentiate it, it's beautiful. That's right. Tam, tatakita, takita, dikita, tat, dit, ta, kita, tarikita, tam, tatakita, takita, dikita, tat, dit, ta. Left. Kita, tarikita, tom. Then you have tam, tatakita, takita, dikita. So, tam, ta, takita. There are two versions. Some of them go one by one. Some of them go to the Natyarambam and go whichever way, just stick to it. So, tam, ta, takita, takita, dikita, dalang, kuta, kita, tarikita, tom. Dalang, kuta, kadikku, takata, dinkinna, tom, ta, ka, di, ni, ta, ka, di, ni, ta, ka, di, ni, ta, ka, di, ni, takka, dimmi, takka, junnu, takka, dimmi, takka, junnu, takka, dimmi, takka, junnu, dalangu, takka, dikku, takka, dinginna, tom, tam, tatta, kitta, nakka, jum, ta, ri, kitta, ta, ka, tam, tatta, kitta, nakka, jum, ta, ri, kitta, ta, ka, tam, tatta, kitta, nakka, jum, ta, ri, kitta, takka, tatta, kitta, nakka, jum, ta, ri, kitta, takka, tam, tatta, kitta, nakka, jum, ta, ri, kitta, takka, tatta, kitta, nakka, jum, ta, ri, kitta, takka, tatta, kitta, nakka, takka, jum, ta, ri, kitta, takka, tatta, kitta, nakka, jum, ta, ri, kitta, takka, tam, tatta, kitta, nakka, jum, takkun, ta, ri, kitta, takka, tatta, kitta, nakka, takka, jum, takkun, ta, ri, kitta, takka, takka, jum, takka, nam, takka, rum, takka, dit, tam, tatta, kitta, takita, dikita, rat, ditta, kita, takka, tarikita, tom, tam, tatta, kitta, takita, dikita, tat, ditta, kita, takka, tarikita, tom, tam, tatta, kitta, takita, dikita, dalang, kuta, kita, takka, tarikita, tom, takka, dimni, rakka, junnu, de, dita, de, dita, de, dita. Rupamu joochi vanachi bachi tini Rupamu. This one is that the what is written which is not seen, right? Joochi. I want to get one glimpse of that. With great expectation, I've come here. Right? So the second one is more the actual beauty of the image, the beauty of the flowers which are there, the majesty of his Simhasanam, the Veera Khadgam, Jnana Khadgam. You will look into that in the iconography of Tyagaraja. But the idea is to take in all the grandiose beauty of that image. Right? The second one goes like this. Rupam Joochi Vachi this hand, it says, you're almost as though you're hearing everybody talk about that beauty. Rupamo Jochi. Look at that spectacle that is Tyagaraja. Jochi. And then Vachi, Vachi. When you're doing this, it's a very different movement to say I want, to have a glance. This is to get or steal or take. Why that one here? It's almost that I want my eyes to capture all the beauty that is there in front of me. So it's important that you make this not just one shoulder movement, but I say, I want to own all of that. I want to take in all of that, right? That's the second idea. Now let's go to the third one. This is also a phenomenal hand. Tyagaraja, you don't see anything more than the face. But we know from the legends and from all the scriptures that's been written that he's a Soma Skanda, which means he, Uma and Skanda are there. But we don't see Skanda at all. We see Uma and him only till the face. So this one is where, and when you show Nataraja's figure, you have Damaru and Agni on the sides. But when you see Soma Skanda, it is with the Maru, which is the axe, and Man, which is the deer. So when this hand comes as Rupamo Jochi Vachi Vachi, you're coming to say your form as Soma Skanda, I think and am eagerly expectant. Please do let me have that vision. You're not seeing it. You are having that in mind, thinking if it is Soma Skanda, he would be like this. And my heart is full of imagining of you, but I want to see once. See, that's such a brilliant idea, not to say I want to see, but to say in my heart, I know, I have a feeling of how you look, but please allow me to come and see, right? And the other thing which Shiva is known for is his red hair, right? And that red hair, like you can see even in Nataraja, the Nataraja image, this hair is such a brilliant piece of, of the spectacle. It's not just one quiet something. The jata is really something which makes an impression on you. It's the same. So when you're progressing through a varnam, you need to increase the intensity of what you're saying. It's just like normal things. Like, when we speak and you want to make a point, you repeat it, but you don't repeat it the same way. You increase the intensity of your repetition. Same way here, when you look at this, Rupamo Jochi Vachi Vachi. So when you're saying, there is magic when you're saying like corals or like anything which is red, red, and imagine that spreading hair and it goes all the way, though the older choreography makes you want to follow your hand. You can, but if you can establish that Shiva and then follow the hand, it will create that much more an impact. Let's try again. Rupamo Jochi vachi, vachi, tini. So when you are saying this one, think that your heart has just gone without you to him when it sees that amazing jata that he has, right? And then this one again is a very, very beautiful idea, which is about the Man and Maru, which I told you about. The Somaskandamurti will have this. But more than that, Man, the deer, stands for Maya, which means it leaves you in one kind of a dizzy, right? And Tyagaraja is meant to be in a state of Raja Yogam, which means there is action and there is serenity. See, it's not quiet peace, it is active peace, right? So, when the Man comes, which he holds in his hand, Juchi, he can win over all of that Maya with his axe. Vachi, vachi. Again, a phenomenal genius of Srimati Rukmini Devi. Like I said, you never see more than the face. But there are 2 times of the year when one of the feet is shown to the public and the other feet is shown at one time. So there's one Panguni and one Arudra Darshanam, in which the right leg and the left leg are shown to the public. So she is not saying, I want to see your hands, I want to see this. She's immediately showing the feet of Tyagaraja. What a beautiful way to approach it, right? So let's do that. Rupamu juchi vachi vachi rupamu juchi vachi vachi. So now it's the Sanchari part. Rupamu juchi vachi vachi. So when you're doing this, it's Brahma, and Brahma's search itself was based on arrogance. Look at me, I will go and find out. It's going to take me just that much time. So it's a lot more vehement and arrogant. So when you're doing this, Rupamu, you don't need to do anything, but just the way you hold yourself can show that I think no end of myself. Rupamu juchi vachi vachi. Even I don't know, it's like, how can I not get it? That kind of vehemence. Now look at Vishnu. Rupamu juchi vachi vachi. Rupamu juchi vachi vachi. So when you're doing Vishnu, he has the Shankha and Chakra, and he changes his form to a boar and splits open the earth, because a boar digs in. No, this one is flying, but this is digging in. And when he searches, even while he searches, he understands. I don't know. I surrender. Right? So, when you're doing Vishnu, even this search is a much humbler search. And like that, he stands, the three-eyed one, which is also symbolizing wisdom, right? You are vehement only as long as you don't know. When you know, you are humble. So when he stands as this huge pillar of fire, which he just shows with the eye on his forehead. And then you come to the devotee. Rupamo Juchi Vachi. So you're saying, I have been at your service and I have come from there to Tiruvarur. And now aren't you going to show me your form? It's such a beautiful composition, and it's important that we understand the flavor of Tiruvarur, flavor of Tyagaraja, and what is the symbolism behind all of this. Now, practice.
Dallangu takka dikku takka taddinginnatum taddikku dingu takkara dingu takku drugudu tak dallangu takka takka taddingu takkare dingu takku drugudu tak dallangu takka taddikku dingu ta takka taddingu te taddikku dingu takka taddingu titta kidataka tarikitatum takka dimmi takka jam tattakitta nakka jam Takkuntari kitta takka tatta kitta nakka takka jam. Takkuntari kitta takka takka jam takka nam takka rum takka dit tam tatta kitta takkitta dikitta tat ditta kitta tarikita tum tam tatta kitta dikitta tat ditta kitta tarikita tum tam tatta kitta dikitta dallang kutta kitta tarikita tum takka dimni rakka junnu de dita
So the first idea goes like this. Gopamu se yadura swami inta. Now the second hand goes into Gopamu se Yadura Swami Inda. So this one is more of an indifference. It's not even anger, but withdrawing and not paying attention. So when you're doing this, one thing is just the hand, but your entire body should feel tense when you're doing this. People ask, why are you stone-like? Meaning that you're indifferent to whatever's happening. So when you do this, so the stone-like attitude, and say, don't, please. So please don't. So there's softness in that, and that stone nature in this. Swami Inta. So much like this. Kopamu. So when you finish this, don't make it as the ending of that line, but Inta Kopamu. This much indifference. Why? No need at all. Swami Inta. What is this behavior? So when you finish the second time, then make this as an ending and not as a Inta Kopamo, because you're not going to the next one, right? So it's important that even though it's the same hand, are you using it as a link or are you using it as an end? Is a way you can think about it. Then you have a kind of an irritated, get lost kind of a feeling. Kopamu se yatura Swami inta. This one is, why are you troubling me? When you're here, stop. Don't do this to me. So, this one is more of an irritation. Don't want to see you. That kind of an irritation. So if you look at anger, we're not just hitting at anger every time. We are speaking about a disbelief of his anger. We are talking about indifference. We are talking about irritation. And this one is a very nice also this thing. This is where you are coming with a particular attitude in mind, and it is almost like a dismissal of your affection. And please don't do it. Right? So this is very endearing. The others could have been anybody with anybody else, but this one is a very intimate kind of a thing. You have Kopamu se yadura Swami inta. So, till now, whenever you are doing this or doing this, you are not looking close, right? But when you're doing this, you are looking at a person whose hand you can hold, right? He's that close. And the moment you held the hand, it's almost a dismissal of that thing. Do not do this. This is really sort of hurt. All the other thing is more, you can feel the vibration that he's indifferent and he's irritated. But this one is where, go, that kind. So, Swami inta. This is a very endearing kind of a move, which I think the whole of India has, in different ways to say, no, let there not be any evil eyes. Oh, you're my darling, don't let there not be evil eyes. This is a kind of where you click your knuckles on your forehead, the sides of your forehead. But that is, I think, the most endearing thing. So here you're not thinking of Tyagaraja, the mantra, the Akshara Pitam here, you're not thinking of that Panimala, you're not thinking of the Jata, nothing. It's this person who's having this close, very, very close relationship with this Lord in front, right? So when you're doing this, it is important to soften and not make it very like this. Swami inta, not Swami inta. This is still formal, right? Then, now the next one is Kopamu. This starts with dismissal, and when somebody is persistent, you just become, do not disturb me. So it's more intense, right? Kopamu se yadura Swami inta. So when you're doing this, I told you I'm not interested. I'm telling you again. Won't you listen? Do not do that. So this one is building up. He's saying, I'm not interested. I told you so. You're still behind. Please don't. So, Swami inta. Right? So this one is again bumping it up a little more. And the last hand is the only hand which is typically for Shiva. You cannot, the rest of these ideas can be put into any varnam. You can see it in many varnams. But the last one is very typical because it's Shiva. It says, Kopamu se yatu ra Swami inta kopamu. If you notice, this is first of all, you're talking about the third eye which Shiva has, and you talk about him opening and everything going to ashes. Oh Shiva, what is this? So who does he do this to? He does it to Manmatha, who is the Lord of desire himself. Like, he's the Lord of desire, who goes on shooting the Cupid, right? He goes on shooting arrows and people fall in love, or they have desire. So when he burnt desire, it means it's not just burning that Lord of desire, but he is unaffected by desire. But here, why have you come? You've come with a desire to see him, to be with him, and to actually spend your time intimately with him. This is also a desire. So Rukmini Devi has beautifully brought in the idea of saying, listen, I know you are beyond desire, but I am coming with a lot of love for you. So do not burn me down like Manmatha. So don't be serious about this, thinking that, oh, burn, oh, please don't. No, it's not that. I think it is because of the intimacy that she says, listen, don't do this, okay? All of this is unnecessary. So that softens, although the mudra and the intensity of the burn, the falling into ashes is all intense. What you're coming to say is actually coming from a very soft place for the heroine to talk, right? So work on this. And tat jam, taka jam, taka ta jam, ta di kidataka tarikitatum. So when you look at the talam here, tat jam, taka jam, taka ta jam, ta di kidataka tarikitatum. So all the gaps, most of the gaps which fall on the talam's beat. So you have tat jam, taka jam, taka ta jam, ta di kidataka tarikitatum. So all the gaps are very conspicuous. It's not like you can't just think, oh, it's 1 or 2 or 3. It's very, very evidently present by its absence. There is no sound there, but that silence is really loud and clear, if you know what I mean. Tat jam, taka jam, taka ta jam, ta di kidataka tarikitatum. Tat jam, taka jam, taka ta jam, ta di kidataka tarikitatum. Right? It's also the placement on the talam. Right? So when you're doing this, that gap has to be a complete silence. Tat jam, taka jam, taka ta jam, ta di kidataka tarikitatum. Tat jam, taka jam, taka ta jam, ta di kidataka tarikitatum. If you notice this, tat jam, taka jam, taka ta jam, very strong. Even though I'm smiling, it's a very strong. Ta di kidataka tarikitatum is soft. Ta di kidataka tarikitatum. Tat jam, taka jam, taka ta jam, ta di kidataka tarikitatum. Right? So the first part of it, give it vallinam. Ta di kidataka tarikitatum. Although there is kuttanam and all of that, the attitude is soft. Then you have taka ta jam, taka ta nam, taka ta rum, taka ta ta. So when you're doing this, of course you need to work on your ettaladavu before this korve. But the softness of ta di kidataka tarikitatum is there in part for this takata jum, takata nam, takata rum, takadita. Right? And you're having takata jum, takata nam, takata rum, takadita. So when you're doing this one, you will be able to reach that position only when you quickly lift your leg, but your hand still takes takata jum, takata. By takata, reach there, although it's soft, and give one little pause after so you can register that beautiful movement. Takata jam, takata nam. See? Takata, I'm done. When you're doing this, it's important that you don't put it into one line, otherwise your knee will fall in, your hip alignment will not be fine. So keep it parallel. Takata, takadita, right? So you are parallel and not in the same line. Dita, dita, kidatakatari kidatum. So takadita, dita, dita, kidatakatari kidatum. Dita, dita, kidatakatari kidatum. Dita, dita, kidatakatari kidatum. When you're doing this, again, conspicuous pauses. It's very clear. Dita, dita, kidatakatari kidatum. Dita, dita, kidatakatari kidatum. Dita, dita, kidatakatari kidatum. There are two pauses with each. When you're doing dita, dita, kidatakatari kidatum, if that feels too much movement, you can just do one eye movement for two dita. Dita, dita, kidatakatari kidatum. Dita, dita, enough. Dita, dita. But whatever it is, to hold the center is most important, right? So when you do this jati, although it's really, really small, it really makes an impression when you can make the gaps really count. Work on it. Let's learn the fourth jati of Rupamajuchi. In this jati, the cholle is a very, very beautiful and a different cholle. Tam di takatum, tam di takatum, tam di takati, tam di takatum, tam di takatum, tam di taka. It's a very unique kind of a usage. So it's important that you go with the cholle and not so much with ta, te, ta, te, ta. So let us see what it holds for us. So this one is also a very unique usage from Kalakshetra. I don't know if it is an older usage, but it's a very unique usage, and you don't find this very commonly in other compositions, even within Kalakshetra, right? So the uniqueness of it is the flow with the cholle, right? So you have three tatitetas. One tatiteta moves from the left, ta, te, ta, dhit, te, ta, like a rainbow. Ta, te, ta. This is the different movement. Ta, te. You take it from here and twist. And then you have to start again with the opposite side. So, this is, two things are very unique in this. One is that you are not starting from center. Ta, te, ta. You are going 1, 2, 3 and tandi, takatum, tandi, takatum, tandi, takatum, tandi, takatum, tandi, takatum, tandi, taka. You will be able to do this and change only if you prepare earlier. Same way we prepare for a tatte tam. So you need to go one bit before. Dalang kutaka dikutaka tatinkinna tum tandi takatum, tandi takatum, tandi taka di tandi takatum, tandi takatum, tandi taka. So can you see this movement? So you are straight, you're not in an angle, but you are twisting a little, pulling this hand in front. Still it's not going to the side, but you're pulling this one behind. That is the beauty of this movement. Then you have tamdi, taka. That is your centering movement. So you need to center it. So if you move too much, you will not be able to move to the next one. Tamdi, taka, tamdi, ta. So from here, you have a jump. Tamdi, taka, tamdi, ta. Taka, tamdi, taddi. Kadaka tarikitatum. Again, come to the center. Kidataka tarikidatom. And tam dita. Taka tam dite. Tatti. Kidataka tarikidatom. Tam dita. Taka tam dite. Tatti. Kidataka tarikidatom. So, in this particular jati, the most important focus is to start early. Before the standitantakatom, you need to start early. Tamdi, taka tamdita. From here, when do you switch mudra? Tamdita, taka tamdite, ditta, kidatakatarikitatom, and tamdita. Because in the cholle, there's no gap. Kidatakatarikitatom, tamdita. So you need to find a gap in between tom tandita, tom tandita. Kidatakatarikitatom, tandita. You don't have much time there, so preparing early will be key. The other thing I want you to notice here is, it's a very non-apparent yati. Yati is the shape of the sounds, right? When you see tam dita, taka tam dite, taddi kidatakatarikitatam, tam dita, taka tam dite, taddi kidatakatarikitatam. But when you look at the dancing part, it is taka, taka, taka. So you have a taka with two gaps, then you have taka with one gap, taka te idite, taka with no gap. So it's actually a very beautiful taka 1 2 taka 1 taka te idite. So it's a very beautiful gopucha, which is the shape which is which sounds the sound which is shaped like the cow's tail, the descending, tapering cow's tail, right? It's called gopucha. So it's a very quietly inlaid idea. You will enjoy it if you notice. Practice. First one is tapa traya harude ivela yushri. This is the straight meaning of it. There's suffering and there are three kinds, and he takes it away. So there is a kind of a relief when you go into Harude. There. There's a relief. You are burdened here and there is no burden at the end of it. Right? This is the first hand. Then when you go into the second one, which gets into much deeper levels of meaning. The second hand speaks about the previous birth and the burden of all the things which have been done before. Gone in a jiffy. So when you do this anxiety vanishes in a second, and then you have nothing to worry about. So that's the second hand. So it's anxiety. The first was affliction, suffering, right? Second is anxiety. The third is you're speaking about what is not in your control. That is Adidevikam. You don't know in whose womb you are formed. You don't know in which place you are born, right? So, Tapa Traya. This is a phenomenal usage. See, this is the womb of the mother, and you fall into the womb without your knowledge. You don't choose, right? Traya. And it makes you tired. It's not suffering, because you can still have a good life, but that he takes and discards it away. It's a very beautiful movement of the wrist. You take something which you don't want, take it closer because you want to throw it far. So the wrist movement which goes in and throws it out. This one is also a very beautiful way of showing the form, right? So when you're showing this form, think that you are starting with the face, then you go to the shoulder, then you go to the hip, and then to the legs. So when you're doing either this, literally see a human form, start small because the head is small, go to the shoulder, go to the hip and the legs. So it's like something like that. So it's not big. It's small for the head, little larger for the shoulder and the hip, and then small again. So it's a very beautiful usage. Again, wrist work really matters. Right? Then, so you spoke about suffering, you spoke about the anxiety of the unknown, then you spoke about the helplessness and the tiredness you feel with this continuing birth and death. And the last one is the idea of getting caught in a web, right? Tapatraya harude ivela yushri tapatraya harude ivela yushri. So, in this world, beautiful, very attractive, gold in the sense wealth, right? And the entire, sort of an intoxication which all of this gives you. Takkatarita dannatata dannata junnutata junnutta dimitata dimita kittata. So the tehi fully, and then taritta danna dannata junnu junnutta dimi takitta in Tishram. Takitta. Now, when you look at the Tishram, you have a lot of space, so you are moving. The next one also is moving, but it's different. Takatat dana, takatat junnu, takatat dhimi, tarikitta taka. So if you look at it, the tehi is stationed. Tadit, tadana, dana, tajunnu, tadimi, takita is moving but on the floor like water spreading. Takatat dhana, you're taking a leap up. So you're not so worried about how much space you're covering in distance, but how high can your jump be, right? So both are moving. You need to differentiate the quality of your moving. One goes on the floor, the other jumps up. And takatat dhimi tarikita taka. Here, the most important for your balance is that when you go to your Mudumandi, that you have your hand really on top of your head, which means your entire upper body is engaged. Tarikita taka. When you're doing this tarikita taka, try to make a circle and quickly turn. Then you have tat dana, tat jono, tat dana, tat jono. The same tattetaha, right? But the first half is in takkit Rikitta, Takkitta, Takka, Dimmi. So this is in numbers of 3. These are in numbers of 2, right? Tat dana, tat jonnu, tat dana, tat jonnu. Right? Then you have kita tom ta, kita tom ta, kita tom. Te dit te, te dit te, te dit te. Tatak gaddita, tatagaddita, tatat jonnu, tadikita taka. So you have tatak gaddita, tatagaddita, tatat jonnu, tadikita taka. So if you look at this movement, you have tatagaddita, tatagaddi. The tatagaddi is a complete pause, although there is a chollu there, you shouldn't turn back for tatagaddi already. Remaining there for the tatagaddi will actually add to the beauty of the jati. So you have tatagaddita, tatagaddi, right? But in order for you to actually make the ta, tatat, junu down, you cannot really be completely quiet. Tatagaddita, tatagaddi, how are you going to go for ta, tatat, junu? So, the tatagaddi used for a swift turn, but without a lift in your leg. Usually we are taught like this. After this, we lift our leg and turn. In this particular jati, if you keep that tatagaddi as a quick turn without lifting your feet, ta tatat jono will be like a murumandi treated like a kuttanam. When you do a kuttanam, you do this, you don't do. So if you do a murumandi ta tatat jono, there is no punctuation there. Ta tatat jono. If you want it like that, so when you go tatagadita, tatagaddi, I'm already here. Ta tatat jono, ta tatat jono, punctuated, right? So this is not a hard and fast rule saying that tatetam means you have to lift your leg. Turn swiftly without the lift, ta tatat jono will happen very beautifully. Ta tatat jono, tadikita taka. Soften the hand. When you are strong, tarikita taka, tarikita taka, right? So that really should add to the beauty of that atami as well. And it is not just doing the atami or just having the hand soft, but it is really switching the energies, right? Ta tatat janu, tarikita taka. Soften the smile, soften the eyes, soften the body, and it will be a very beautiful contrast. Taka tak gaddite. Same thing. Ta hata tarikita taka. Then you have strong. This tarikita taka is soft. Then you have tatta gaddita hata tat janu. Whole tatte tam tate tam tate tam tate. But when you do this, again, like how I told, this is important, not here, but here, same thing goes for this. Tattak gaddita hatatat junu, tat gaddit tattimi takkita. When you do this, rather than bending too much, lean, so that even in the side, you are not having any awkward kind of a movement because it's a profile. You have to be super careful when you are in profile because your entire body is seen in another dimension, right? So when you're here, you know that you can't really make out much difference between this and this when you're looking at it from this front. But when you look at it from this side, it makes a huge difference. Are you here or are you here? Really matters, right? So work on your tatetam before this particular jati for sure. And then tarikita taka, then you have ta, de, ta, tadin kinnatum, tadin kinnatum, tadin kinnatum. So let's look at the kanaki here. Ta, di, ta, a. takitta, takitta, takka, dimmi. We normally think takitta, takitta, takitta is happening because it all sounds equal, it's not equal. Because you have takitta, takitta, takka, dimmi, takitta, takitta, takka, takitta, takitta, takka, takitta, takitta. Tadin, kinnatum, takka, tadin, kinnatum, takka, tadin, kinnatum. So it is takitta, takitta, takka, dimmi, tadin, kinnat, takka, tadin, kinnat, takka, tadin, kinnatum. That is your jati number 6. So the first one is a very beautiful one. So you have Man and Maru. Tyaga Raja Swami Idemi. So, if you notice in this entire choreography, this is the only place where you will see a Nataraja form. Tyagaraja is the Viti Vitanka. Viti is the road. Vitanka is the one who is not chiseled. When you look at the mythology of Tyagaraja Swami, then you will get there. But the idea is that he goes on a procession, right? When you go on a procession, it is because you want to go out to the people who are unable to come and see you. At this time, idemi, I have come all the way to see you, and then you cover yourself. What is this? What is this Leela? Is what he's trying to say. So the second hand goes Tyaga Raja Swami Idemi. Right? In that very, very, very majestic temple of Tiruvarur, on the roads, you come on top of Nandi and you come for the benefit of everyone. What is all this play? Right? So when you look at the Nandi and him going on top of the Nandi, this Nandi in Tiruvarur is where Vishnu himself has transformed to be the white bull for Shiva to ride on. So that is an important point when it comes to Tiruvarur. It's also in other places, but Tiruvarur it's well known. The third hand goes to the idea of the Panimalai. As we know, Tiruvarur Tyagaraja is filled with flowers, and in that you have these huge like a huge kind of a large garland which tapers at the end, right? No, sorry, it actually opens out at the end, right? And it resembles the snakes. Shiva is usually seen with snakes, and since Tyagaraja is completely covered with flowers, in order to suggest snakes, this Panimale, it's called Panimale, which Pani is also snakes. And the garland looks like the snake, right? So it's a representation of the Shiva-ness, can we say, because he is covered, so the snake is represented with the flowers. So when you're doing this, Tyaga Raja Swami Idemi is again the idea of him having Devi along with him and within him, right? He is called the Ardhanari, right? Half male and half female, and that is embodied in Tyagaraja because he is sitting with, he is the Soma Skandamurti, so which means he always has Uma next to him, but not only next to him but also part of him, right? So when you're doing this, Tyaga Raja Swami Devi. So why should he have Devi as one half? Devi represents grace or compassion. So when you speak about him, not just having compassion next to him, but she is part of him, how can you play all of these games? Because you have it in you to be compassionate. The next two hands are also very, very beautiful. The Ganga Dharamurti is a recurring sculptural form, but this one is only representing the movement in that the sculptural form. It is more that movement of Ganga coming as this uncontrollable river and then becoming the mother for several people because she provides livelihood. So if it is gushing water, it can completely cause a deluge, but she becomes the livelihood for so many people. So it's that transformation of this unchanneled energy into this stream which moves into a river, right? So it's a very beautiful movement. And in Tiruvarur, Tyagaraja, you will see two crescent moons in his crown, next to his crown, right? So one crescent moon actually represents the moon. The other crescent represents Ganga. So when you're doing this movement, it's very beautiful. Tyaga. This is his jata, and the mighty Ganga just comes down and she becomes channeled to serve the entire world. When she comes like this, she's gushing, and then she becomes a stream and then a river. What is all of this? You are the one who can channel this huge water body into something which gives life to people. Why play all of these games? So even though these are sculptural forms, you need to connect it to the question at the end. Why play all of these games? Right? So the last one is, you are the Himavan Putri's husband. So Himavan is the mountain king. Himalayas is basically Himavan's place. That mountain king's daughter is the one whom you have as a consort. And why all these games? So Himavan, so when you're doing this, show the mountain. So when you're showing the mountain, really become that tall, and then he is Himavan and she is the daughter. So there is a majesty about this, but a fondness about this, and there is Shringaram to show the consort, and you are the lord of that great Parvati, who is Himavan's daughter, right? Still, after having grace as part of you, as your wife, how can you still play with me, a very, very simple soul who has come to see you? So you have Tattaitaha, Dittaitaha as usual, right? So you have Taku, Dannaku, Taka, Dannaku, Kinnaku, Taka, Kinnaku, Junnaku, Taka, Junnaku, Titiku, Taka. Right? When you're doing this Tattaitaha, rather than going Tatte, like we do it when we are learning the Adavu, in this speed and with this Cholle, Tat, making sure that from here, you really make that Tatte rather than Tatte. Taku. better than that is taku, taku. In this particular place, it's not whether this is right and that is wrong or that is right and this is wrong, but in this particular place, it'll be a much better aesthetic choice if you take your hand and establish this as the first movement, which is very, very powerful, right? Once you finish this tatitaha, then you have tat tajam tajam ta. Normally this second one suffers because you will think that you need to turn, you need to do so much. So think that tatte taha ta is your ending of the entire jati. Don't even think about what comes next. Tat tajam tajam ta. Here when you equalize your weight and make sure it is in center, then to do something, tarum takata, gadim takata, takita taka is a possibility. The point is, when you're not centered there, it's very hard to keep the balance. So when you're doing tat tajam tajam ta, stay as though that's it. World ends there. That's it. So ta, now, if you look at videos of different people approaching this, they would have given equal importance for tajam takata, tarum takata. All of them having the equal weightage of lift and place it, lift and place it, lift and place it, lift and place it 4 times. See, if it is so disturbing even when I say lift and place 4 times, imagine how it will look in the body. So I personally prefer tajam takata, tarum takata, takita taka, where you do not lift your first leg and lift your second leg and come to a very strong Natyaram every time. So you're not caught somewhere half, but you really come and present yourself when you turn to the front, right? So tajam takata, yarum takate, takita taka, right? So that's an aesthetic choice which I make for my comfort and also to how it looks. But the point is, one has to understand that there is always give and take in perfection. It's not just one hard and fast rule, right? After this, you again have a different usage. Taako, dannako, dannako, kinnako, kinnako, junnuko, junnuko, didiko. So you have usually your te, ya, te, i is in 4. Now you need to do it in takita, 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 takita. Taako, dannako, dannako, kinnako, kinnako, junnuko, junnuko, didiko. So takita is actually takita, 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 takita. What is happening? I have takita is a lift already. Usually we have takka, dimmi, and then the third only lifts. Now what we are trying to do is takita lift and put it on the takita, next takita. Takita lift, takita, takita, right? It's a very different kind of a usage, so you need to work on it. Takita, 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 takita. So takita is done. Your leg is lifted and you're waiting there. And drop on the ta, right? Junnuku, diddiku. Then tat, tajam, kidataka tarikita tom. Tat, tajam, kidataka tarikita tom. Tat, tajam, kidataka tarikita tom. This one is ta, tajam, ta, aramandi, tajam, samapadam, kidataka tarikita tom. So from that samapadam, kitataka is a double movement. Why? You are here, you can't do kitataka tarikita tom like this. So you lift up and sit. Kitataka tarikita tom. Tat, tajam, kitataka tarikita tom. Tat, tajam, kitataka tarikita tom. That's easier. The third one is easier. So you have te, dita, ta, tajam, So, te, tita, kittataka tarikita tum. So that kittataka is very important, right? So, ta, tajam, kittataka tarikita tum. Ta, tajam, kittataka tarikita tum. Ta, tajam, kittataka tarikita tum. Right? So this is takita, dita, te, ditite. Takita, dita, te, ditite. Takita, dita, right? Takita, dita, te, ditite. Right? So it is takita, dita, te, ditite. Gap, takita, dita, te, ditite. Takita, dita, te, ditite. The last takita, dita is takit, dita, te, ditite. So that is your jati number 7. Varnam. This is a very signature kind of a jati which is reminding of all the Kalakshetra students of one single person who was Kamalarani teacher, the first person from the non-hereditary background to actually learn the Nattuvangam as a female and perform in a kacheri next to as the orchestra. So it was a very, very groundbreaking kind of a moment, because there were times when only the Nattavanars, the male gurus from the hereditary clan, who did the Nattuvangam, and there were a couple of Devadasis, hereditary dancers, who have wielded the cymbals once in a while, but very rarely. And Kamalarani teacher was the person who was a female Nattavanar in Kalakshetra, groomed within Kalakshetra, and she used to be remembered for this particular jati. It goes like this. To din dim, dimi kita taka to gatta tum 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 kita taka to dinnam taka tum ta dinu tum tarikita tum. Just a one avartana jati, but there is a certain charm to it. To dim dim, dimi kita taka to gatta tum tum kita taka to dinnam taka. So that was her speciality. So let us think of her for a moment and learn this jati. It's a very simple but charming jati. So it starts to din dim, dimi kita taka to gatta tum kita taka to dinnam taka. So it is a very simple teha tehi twice, and then you have to gatta tum kita taka, which is a mishram. Takitta takka dimmi. Tum ta dinu tum tarikita tum. So when you're doing this, tum ta dinu tum takita te dita takita taka takita, right? Tum ta dinu tum tarikita tum. When you're doing this tarikita tum, from here, instead of taking it again all the way, it's better to drop the hand right in front while this comes to the side. So this happens together. Tarikitatum. That is when you can really make peace with that tarikitatum, because otherwise it will be too much. Tarikitatum will disorient you. So tum da dinu tum tarikitatum. So since my tarikitatum finishes in the side, I finish the last tarikitatum to the side, but if it is to the front, you can do all three in front and stop. So this is the last jati of the Rukmajuti.
Taddinkinda tum ga ma pa ga ma da pa ga pa ma ga re sa ni da ni sa ri ga ma ni da ga ma pa ga ma pa ga ma da pa ga pa ma ga re sa ni da ni sa ri ga ma ni da ga ma pa da pa ga ma da da ni da ni sa ri ga ri ni da ma ga re sa ni sa ri ru pa mo ju chi. गिन्नतो ग म प ग म द प ग प म ग रे स नि द नि सा रि ग म नि द ग म प ग म प ग म द प ग प म ग रे स नि द नि सा रि ग म नि द ग म प द प ग ग म ग म द द नि ದ नि ದ नि ಸ रि ಗ रि नि ದ ಮ ಗ ರಿ ಸ ನಿ ಸ ರಿ ರೂಪ ಮೋಜು ಊಚಿ.
Chitteswaram Sahityams are very aligned to music, so you won't have so much space like how you do the Pallavi or Anupallavi, where you can have stay in a particular hasta or in a particular mood for a long time. So it will be very full of hastas. So it is very important for you to really know why that Chitteswaram is important and what you're trying to convey as a whole rather than as words, right? So if you take this Chitteswaram, just look at the words. E velanuni, e velanu is always, all the time. So e velanu meaning all the time. So you need that all the time, right? Ni charitamu, your praises, like your greatness, nindaru premato, with lots and lots of love, with lots and lots of love, which means it's still a comma, it's not ended there. So if you notice here, e velanu is one part where you say all the time, all the time. So here, if you look around saying these people, because the hand is going out, you would be missing the main crux of it. You're saying all the time. Whose praise? Your praises I've heard. Nindaru premato. And how did I do it? With lots and lots of love. Sevinchi. I've worshipped you in my heart. Sevinchi. Needu parakramulane, your parakramam, which means your valor and greatness. Mulane is to say only your greatness. Here Rukmini Devi has said greatness mulane, I. Bagumiraga, with great positive energy, I have spoken. So look at this entire Chitteswaram. So you have all the time, I've heard of your greatness and with great love worshipped you, and your valor with a lot of earnestness and cheerfulness, I have spoken. Right? So there is thinking, there is hearing, there is speaking. Right? So this forms your Chitteswaram. So let us just look at the leg. E velanu ni charitamulanu nindaru premato. Right? So nindaru can be front or back, doesn't matter. Premato. Then sevinchi, I have kept you in my mind. Needu parakrama mulane bagumiraga koniya ditini. So, when you're doing this bagumiraga, because you are doing this to the right, koniyaditini, you start with the left and join the leg. So when you're doing this, if you can group them into phrases, e velanu is one, ni charitamulanu nindaru premato sevinchi. Needu parakramamulane bagumiraga koniyaditini. Right? So when you make it into phrases, it will make absolute sense. Then when you are doing the tattimettu, I would suggest that you just do the tattimettu on the feet while you hear the music, not try any of the hand. And then when the tattimettu can go without thought, then you put in the hands, it will happen very naturally. Not where you attempt both together. So tattimettu is meant really to be the background for your hand and not where you're dancing, oh, this mudra for this tattimettu is not the point. This just keeps going and your hands flow according to the word. So when you're practicing this, ye velanu ni charitamuganu indaru premato. So you have 5 tangiditattadinas. So you have ye velanu ni charitamulanu indaru premato. So 5 tangiditattadinas will still have 2 left in a 32. 30 and sevinchi needu parakrama mulane. Till there you have sevinchi needu parakrama mulane. So you have 6. Sevinchi needu parakrama mulane. Right? Then you have bagumiraga koniya ditini. 3 takadimi and 1 teitidite. So what I would like you to remember when you're doing this, when you're doing the 6s, takka, ground yourself, takka dimmi, move on the ground. Takka, takka dimmi, takka, takka dimmi. Then when you're doing the takkitta, don't lift the front leg. Takkitta, 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 takkitta. Kick the back leg behind. And when you're doing takkadimmi, again, give importance to the front leg and moving with the ground and not having a leap of sorts. Then takkadimmi, takkadimmi, takkadimmi. Tei, tei. You open your feet, didite. The Sahityam here is Marakoti Sundarakara, which just says you are like 1,000, not just 1,000, 1 crore Manmathas put together. That is how beautiful you are. And this is an expression which comes in many songs, but to Thiruvarur, it really makes so much sense because he's one of the most magnificently decked Shiva deities. Because usually the Shiva deities are very simple in the main sanctum, which is just a Shivalinga. But Tyagaraja is truly an exception because he's Tyagaraja, the king, right? So when you're looking at Marakoti, it's important to think of Tyagaraja and his grandeur in Tiruvarur, rather than just anybody who's good looking, right? So let us look at each idea one after the other. We have 6 ideas which are stacked after each other. So it's important to bring out one idea per hand so that you have something to tell rather than just go hand after hand after hand, right? So the first one is Mara Koti. So when you're saying Manmatha himself, there's a beauty. Koti Sundara Kara. So you are saying Mara Koti. When you are doing Manmatha, be that beautiful, amazing looking Cupid, and then say even more than that. So amplify what you see. Beauty, Sundara. You're showing that his form, Dara, Kara, you have such beauty. And then the second one is like how the Surya or the sun is so effulgent, and he moves around with that kind of effulgence, and that moving around makes absolute sense in Tiruvarur because he is the Veeti Vitanka, the one who comes in a procession in Tiruvarur. So the movement of this also suggests the processional festival of Tiruvarur, right? The Ajapa Natanam, which we already thought about. So now this one is Mara Koti Sundara Kara. So there is no gap between being Tyagaraja and being the devotee, so you need to quickly switch. When you're doing this Mara Koti Sun, this is the devotee showing how effulgent the sun is. Sun, this is become Tyagaraja. Dara Kara. So open with the attitude of the devotee, become Tyagaraja, walk as Tyagaraja. Think about it slowly. Mara Koti Sundara Kara. So when you're doing this is when you learn the Devata Hastas, the Surya Hasta is Kapita in the center of the chest and the Alapadma above your head. So when you're doing this, this is not like an Abhinaya thing, but it is the mudra given to a particular deity, which is Surya, right? So you have Brahma like this, Vishnu like this. So you're not expressing anything, but you're actually denoting them. So here, the effulgence of the sun. This one is more like the sun we see, but this one is more like the Lord Sun, the God of, the one who comes, the seven horses and the chariot and all of that. So you understand the difference between the effulgence of the sun as we see it, and this is the Devata, right? So when you're doing this, every time center your weight. And when you're showing this one, don't go saying that you're as bright as the sun. This one has to have much more energy than the sun himself. That is when this makes sense. Kara, I bow to you, right? And the next hand is talking about the holy ash the vibhuti which he has on him. And this is a very beautiful thought. This is this very fair and reddish gold person. He's always compared to a mountain of gold, right? So there is this whiteness and this redness and all a combination, and it's heady, right? When you do Mara, you're seeing like how, you know, when you see in a scenery and you have a white flower, it really stands out. That is the kind of standing out because of the holy ash. Mara koti sundara kara. So it's not only how he has it all over his body, but also that he represents the whiteness of the ash, right? So the purity of the ash and the austerity of that ash, right? So that is the next hand. So till now you're talking about Manmatha, you're talking about Surya, and then you're talking about the holy ash, and the next one is where you talk about jewels. Usually Shiva is always shown with lots of snakes and the tiger skin and everything, but there is an ornament which he wears. They call it the Yagnyopavitam, which is the golden thread which runs along his. If you see any Nataraja Vigraham, you'll see a thread which runs like this. It's very beautiful, and it's made of gold. It's not the sacred thread which the Brahmin community wears, but it's also a bejeweled gold, a thread made of gold, right? So here it is, Mara koti. This is gold. Sundara kara. You don't have much time, but if you just dance just about this one single thing, you can really take your sanchari to wherever you want. So when you're doing this, the gold, but more than the gold, the way he wears it and he tosses when he dances, right? That's the beauty of it. That's the chest which wears the thread of gold, right? Kara. And then you come to the feet. This is again a very beautiful part of the choreography. It says Mara koti sundara kara. He's wearing the anklets which are so beautiful and so well formed. So let's see how it goes. Mara koti sundara kara. You're having the anklet, and then you remember the Ajapa Natanam I spoke about, which is going up and down, like how Vishnu's breath goes in and out, so it's up and down. And because it is on the serpent which is on the oceans, the movement is side to side. So it has an up and down and a side to side movement, this Ajapa Natanam. And that's exactly how it has been choreographed. It's just so beautiful. So after you do Kara, this is Mara koti sundara. See that? Dit ta de ta de ta kara. These are all suggestive about the deity in Tiruvarur, but if you actually take it and open it up, there's so much to learn and enjoy. So you have that te, tam, dit, te, tam. Although you're doing dit, te, tam is not there, but you're staying in dit, te, tam. Then you have tat, te, tam, dit, te, tam in second speed. Takka, tadim, kinna, tum. So, as you see, it's very straightforward. Takka, dimmi, takka, dimmi, takka, dimmi. 3 times you have takka, dimmi. And the last one goes takka, tadim, kinna, tum, which is takka, takkitta, takkitta. The last 8. So you have 1 8, the second 8, third 8, takka, tadim, kinna, tum. That's the fourth 8, right? So that is how your 32 is formed. But when you do it with the swaram, you need to really notice the karve and make sure that you are not getting confused with the cholle and the song, right? Let's see. So you have ga, 6, ga, ma. So you have to leave the ma out and come to the karve after the ma. So ga, ma, right? So in this korve, the difficulty is because it's not going to fall on ga, ma. It is not like that. So one needs to really notice the karves in the song and match it with the actual korve. Okay? So this will come very clear when you look at the notation part of it. So let us move to the second korve of the same swaram. This one, the 32 is arrived like this. You have takka, dimmi, takkitta, a very beautiful mayura adavu, because this is one of the very few adavus which uses the mayura hasta. Takka, dimmi, takkitta. Then you have kartari, takka, dimmi, takkitta, ditta, ditta, and te, te, didite, ta, te, te, didite, ta, te, te, didite. So the numbers are takka, dimmi, takkitta, takka, dimmi, takkitta, 7, 7, ditta, ditta, 4, te, te, didite, ta, te, te, didite, ta, te, te, didite. Te, te, didite is 4. You have a gap, ta, te, te, didite, 4, ta, te, te, didite. So you have 7, 7, 4, ditta, ditta. Then 4, 4, 4 is your tirmanam. You have 1, 1 gap in the middle. So this is how the korve goes. Takka, dimmi, takkitta, takka, dimmi, takkitta, ditta, ditta. Till here is the purvanga, the first half. When you are doing this ditta, ditta, it's important that you try and hold yourself and not move too much. Usually ditta is a moving adavu, but in this context, since this is a jump, you need something to stabilize you. So when you do the ditta, ditta, keep your core really strong so that you have the thrust for the tirmanam. Then you have te, te, didite, ta, te, te, didite, ta, te, te, didite. So when you do the te, te, didite, the ta, you have the gap. So thrust it forth and stop for the gap. Te, te, didite, ta, te, te, didite. In any jumping adavu, when people get tired, they only lift the second feet. All of us do it. So you'll go takka, dimmi, as though you're skipping into the korve. But actually, if you give that one thrust right at the beginning with the ta, the first leg lift, then the utplavanam looks like a very good utplavanam. Same thing with takka, dimmi, takkitta. So it's very easy to do takka, only lifting only the second leg. But when you want to really show the jump, then only when you lift the first leg and the second leg, then there is a lightness to the jump, right? So this korve becomes very crucial in two fronts. One is your jumps, the other is stability. Since if you see there is a shift in the mood from bhakti or devotion to deep Sringaram in the second half, because the moment you speak about Manmatha, it's not anymore just to say, oh Lord, I'm your devotee. It also says, oh Lord, I am your love. I'm your beloved and you are my beloved. So when you are talking in that tone, then what you do and how you mean it really matters. Garadamu saluparadu, which means all this, this kind of, this very outward anger and, this sort of enmity which you show, why do you have to do it? And this is not really like war enmity, but just to say that why so much anger in a very, very intimate way. So the usage of the legs are also very beautiful. Ga, ra, da. So you have 1, 2, 3 and left, and you take left again, right, and you say do not, right? So when you do ga, ra, da, mu, sa, lu, pa, ra, do. So when you do this, hey, so much, come on. Sa, lu, pa, ra, do. Right? Why all of this? And the Tattimet is very simple. You're going to do the same movement with Takadimi all through this thing and one Teite Drite at the end. So 7 Takadimis and 1 Teite Drite.
One with the swara. Dalang kudaka dikudaka tadigina tum gama da pa da ma pa ga da ga ma pa ma ga re ni sa ga re ma ga ni da ma ga re ga ma ra koti sundara. Now let's go to the Adavi syllables. Dalang kudaka dikudaka tadingina tum tattita ha tattita dittita ha tattita ditta de ditte ditta de ditte ditta de ditte da. Now the first korve in Kanaka syllables. Dalang kudaka dikudaka tadingina tum takka dimmi rakkitta rakka dimmi rakkitta rakka rakkitta rakka rakka dimmi rakka rakka rakkitta da. Dalang kudaka dikudaka tadingina tum gama da pa da ma pa ga da ga ma pa ma ga re ni sa ga re ma ga ni da ma ga re ga ma ra koti sundara. Now the same korve in Adavi syllables. Dalang kudaka dikudaka tadingina tum da de da ditte da da de da ditte da ditta de ditta de ditta de rakka dimmi rakka junnu de da. Now korve 2 in Kanaka syllables. Dalang kudaka dikudaka tadingina tum takka dimmi rakka rakkitta rakka dimmi rakka junnu rakka takkitta takka takkitta takka takkitta takka dimmi rakka junnu takkitta 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 takkitta.
The second Sahityam is more outrightly Sringaram. So you are speaking about the flower arrows of Manmatha. When you look at the concept of Manmatha and how he is the god of love, it's a very interesting imagery we can think about it another day. But he comes aiming at people with arrows of flowers, which makes people afflicted with love. That's the way the legend goes. And here you're telling Sumashara. Sumashara is the flower arrow. Mulache Mari Negula Nunogili. Right? So, from the flower arrows of Manmatha, I am deeply distressed. Valapu Niluputa, meaning Valapu is my affection for you. To keep it suppressed and closed and not seen, is it fair? Tarunamidi. This is the right time. For what? For you to be with me and not have all of these fights, right? So when you're doing this, you need to change from the voice of the devotee into the voice of a young girl in love with Tyagaraja, right? Sumashara Mulache Mari Migula Nunogili. Migulanu is one word. Mari Migulanu Nogili. Valapu Niluputa. Closing this and keeping it suppressed is very hard. Taguna, is it right? The time is now. Right? So this is the second Sahityam, and this also goes in beats of Takadimi and ends with Teidedrite.
Nani Rama Mada Maga Gama Gari Re Gare Sani Rani Sare Gama Nida Dani Rama Mada Maga Gama Gari Re Gare Sani Rani Sare Gama Nida Gama Gare Gare Gama Da Ni Mada Ni Sa Rani Sare Ni Gare Ni Rani Rama Gare Sare Gama Rakoti Sundara. Now, the same chorway with the Adav syllables. Dalang kutaka de kutaka ta dingina tum dakka dakitta dakka dimmi dakka dakitta dakka dimmi dakka dakitta ditte yi dakka dakitta dakka dakitta dakka dakitta dakka dakitta dakka dakitta de ya de yi de ya de yi de hat de yi de hat de yi de da da. Now the same chorway with the Kanaka syllables. Dalang kutaka de kutaka ta dingina tum dakka dakitta dakka dimmi dakka dakitta dakka dimmi dakka dakitta dakka dimmi dakka dakitta dakka dakitta dakka dakitta dakka dakitta dakka dakitta dakka dimmi dakka dimmi dakka dimmi dakka dimmi dakka junnu dakka dimmi dakka junnu dakka dimmi dakka dimmi dakka dimmi da. Dalang kutaka de kutaka ta dingina to Dani Rama Mada Maga Ga Magari Re Gare Sani Rani Sare Gama Nida Gama Sare Gare Gama Da Ni Mada Ni Sa Rani Sare Ni Gare Ni Rani Rama Gare Sare Gama Rakoti Sundara. Now let us do the same chorway with the Adav syllables. Dalang kutaka de kutaka ta dingina tum tatte tam ditte tam tatte tam ditte tam tatte tam ditte tam tatte tam ditte tam te ditte ditte that thinking natum te ditte that thinking natum te ditte that thinking natum te ditte rakadimmi rakajunnu te dida. Now, the same korve with the kanaka syllables. Nalang kutaka dhiku taka dingina dom taka dimmi raka junno raka dimmi raka jun raka dimmi raka junno raka dimmi raka jun raka dimmi raka junno raka takita rakita raka takita rakita raka takita rakita raka dimmi raka jun rakita 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 rakita.
In this, there is an equal part of bhakti and Sringaram coming together, right? So, if you listen to the Sahityam, Sare Gunu, all the time, Sare Gunu, Needu Charanalayame Manasamu Unchitika Sarasuda. So, if you see, always your feet is in my heart. Unchitika. So here, till here, you can say, even a devotee can say the same. But the way she says Sarasuda, which is, oh my love. So I always think of you, oh my Lord. And who are you? Ghana Taramagu. You are the great, valorous, right? Ghana Taramagu Velayu. You are seated with such glory in Tiruvarur. Sri Tyagesha Chalamika. All these petty quarrels and delays and all of this. Valadu Valadu. Brochutaku Aruda. Aruda, right? So, brochutaku means to protect me. Is it such a difficult thing for you? Are you so against it? That's what it means. So, if you look at this, it speaks about her love for Tyagaraja and she praises him for the great king he is of Tiruvarur and say, but for your stature, such quarrels and delays doesn't work. And to protect me, is it such, are you so against it? Is the Sahityam. And if you look at the way the Tattimetta goes, here you have something called the Sarpanade. Sarpanade is to trace the way a snake moves. So when you are doing Sare Gunu Needu Charanalayame Manasamu Nunchitiga Sarasuda, you will exactly enter the center. So you start here, ta 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 ta. So 4 like this, 8 like that, and 4 like this. But you won't make it like a stop, change, but really move with the music and also make sure your hands really flow with the meaning, right? And then when you go to the Tattimetta, you will leave Ghana, Taramagu, from there you will start the Tattimetta. And here the Tattimetta goes with 3 Takadimi, 6 Takita and 1 Didite. 3 Takadimis will give you 12. Takita, 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 Takita will give you 18. And Didite is 2. So that will form your 32. Again, work with the song and the legs. And when they come together, work the hands into it. But what needs to be really in focus when you do it are the meaning of the words, so that you flow, although your legs are doing the Tattimetta, you are flowing with the meaning. Mara Koti Sundara Kara Mara Koti Sundara Kara this is Matra Koti Sundara Kara